Hey folks, welcome back. So we're out here to do some early morning bass fishing amongst these weeds. Lily pads are starting to come in pretty good, as you can see. There's weed beds growing all over the place in this lake. So I'm gonna try to fish those edge of the weed beds, get in the weeds. So I'm gonna go weedless today, and I'm gonna use plastics. And you know, if I find a good pocket, I'm just gonna throw my chatterbait because I love that bait. So follow me, let's go bass fishing. So whenever you're hooking up this Fluke, you know, you want to bring it through the bottom because the weight and everything is going to bring your bait like this. But you see how this is like tilted up some? You don't want it like that. You want it to be perfect. It has to be perfectly flat. So once you get that eyelet and everything inside the nose of that bait there, you know, you want to see where your hook is going to go through. Now on this one, this hook is a little big for this bait, so I'm going to have to go through the back here. But I can bring it up right up to the top, and now you see how that sits nice and flat with the tail hanging down, so it won't spin over in a circle on you. Now this bait will dart and dash and up and down, and this tail creates that swimming action. So let's see what we can't do. When you're fishing this Fluke, you know, you're watching your line. You know, you're not really watching anything else. You're watching your line. I mean, you could look out to make sure you're not pulling through some stuff or whatever, but you know, when that bass hits it, that line will jump. And when you see that line jump, you know that bass sucked that bait into his mouth. And it's not that big. It's only like a 3.5-inch Fluke here that we're using. And the one thing I love about this bait is it stays 98% weedless. Now you still have where your line goes into your bait, you know, but you're pushing that bait up over the eyelet of the hook. So, you know, it will be very, very weedless. You know, I mean, unless you're picking up something like the end of your bait's not completely round, or, you know, you got a snag in it, you caught a few bass starting to split on the end, you know, you can go through some plastic if you're catching a lot of bass on these. So be prepared for that. You can tell if these Flukes are working properly when you're pulling them in and you're watching them on the surface. If they're swimming back and forth and up and down, now if they're rolling over every time, you have to adjust where your hook is at, because that will twist up your line for one, and it doesn't simulate a real dying bait fish. And I've even caught crappie on these Flukes. And this is a great time of year to be crappie fishing the banks and the weeds and trying to stay weedless. Seeing with this Fluke, I can cast it all the way up into the heavier weeds there. And then I just keep it popping through those weeds, and just as it comes on the outside edge, I just let it sink. And then just keeping an eye on that line, and to see a twitch or jump, you know, you better set the hook. Thing is, when you're fishing for bass, you know, try a few different styles. See what's working, what's not working, what you can actually fish and get away with fishing without, you know, too much hassle. You know, who wants hassle when they're fishing? I mean, we all want it easy. We want all the fish all the time. You know, I go fishing a lot and I get skunked. So, you know. There he is. Oh, wow. That is actually a crappie. Look, see, I just told you, you can catch crappie on these things too. Look at that. That's a nice 12-inch black crappie there. What a beautiful fish. Oh man, what is that? There we go. Look at this. I found the crappie. Don't be afraid to try new things. Go try different spots. I mean, there's no real area that bass are going to be in every single time you go fishing. So sometimes you want to get out on the edge of the weeds. Sometimes they're in the weeds and you've got to spot fish in little patches that you can get your bait in and fish 100% weedless. But yeah, you just want to try different things. Don't be afraid to try new stuff. I mean, who cares? It's fishing. And if you don't try new stuff and you stick with the same standard all the time, you probably won't be as productive all the time. And you can find you'll surprise yourself with stuff that you have you never really thought would work for bass, but it does work, you know. So it's a big deal. So just try different things, you know, live a little. Okay, folks, so I got out of the wind here But we're still in the weeds. We're on the south side of the lake now. So there's a lot less junk floating around on top of the water. So hopefully we'll get some bass out of here. Still got some weeds in here, but I like the look of these weeds a lot better. They're not as thick. There's some milfoil and some coontail in here. So it's pretty good weeds. Not a lot of slime in here. So I can get in and out of these weeds pretty good here. Folks, well, we're going to try a little power fishing with the chatterbait, my favorite bait for bass, especially in the spring, because they really hit this thing super aggressive. Oh, there's one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's not a giant, but he's still a bass. Boy, I'm always leery of that first cast, first fish. Not a fan of it really, but I'll take it. There's one right there. Oh yeah. Yeah, I knew there was some bass up in here. There we go, folks. Using that chatterbait there for some nice springtime bass. Okay, folks, so I was picking up too much junk with my chatterbait here along the shore. So I switched to a spinnerbait here. So it's sort of a frog color. I'm still using a swim bait on the bottom. It's not that big, it's a little lighter, so I can pull it through those weeds a little bit better. The chatterbait was just hanging up too much. So spinnerbaits are sort of weedless. You'll still get some stuff if there's a lot, but it's a really good way to power fish for bass. So we got a couple on the chatterbait, so let's try this spinnerbait and let's see what happens. There's another one. Oh yeah. There we go, folks. Seems like the average that we're getting here. Little 1-pounders. Still fun. I don't care who you are. There he is. Oh yeah. Yeah, on that spinnerbait, just changed it up a little, kept myself a little bit more weedless. But yeah, they're average. Average about 1-pounders. We're just trying to focus on hitting these little pockets here today that don't have a ton of weeds. There's some weeds in here, but there's not a ton. I really like to work an area. Even if I catch a couple bass out of it, I still want to work the area because sometimes in bass don't sit by themselves. There he is. Oh yeah, I watched him hit that. Seems like he's just a little guy though. But boy, he is ferocious. He wanted it. It's still fun. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh boy. Ah, it's about average. It's about the same size we've been catching all day here, folks. It's not bad. Boy, my skirt is getting beat on this lure. There he is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go, folks. It's about 2.5-pounder on that little spinnerbait. He only hit it 3 times. Okay, folks, well, we're done out here today. It started raining on me, and I'm not equipped right now to be waterproof. I've got my microphone and everything on. You know, I have to plug something in my camera or a transmitter. So hopefully you enjoyed this bass fishing video. We really didn't get any lunkers, but we got a couple decent bass. Don't forget, try changing it up. you know, you never know what's going to work until you try it. So if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You know, we'll talk to you guys later. Tight lines, and stay tuned.